Have you ever found yourself lost in endless rounds of play, where each day feels like a never-ending chess match? Life can often seem like a complicated game with its own rules, challenges, victories, and exhausting defeats that leave us weary. We play our roles as participants, again and again, pushing ourselves forward, trying not to let anyone see us stumble. But it's precisely in those moments of exhaustion and setbacks, in the pain, crises, failures, or loneliness, that we start to wonder, why do I take life so seriously? If life were just a game, would everything be different? Seeing life as a game doesn't mean trivializing it. It's about approaching every challenge with skill, flexibility, and initiative. It's the calm and freedom found in Stoic philosophy. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you understand this, you are no longer a victim of the game. You become the one in control of the board. This video will guide you to see life through the lens of a game and reveals secret strategies for playing wisely, using Stoic wisdom. When you have the courage to look deeply within yourself, you'll discover that true peace and clarity always begin from within. 1. Life is just a game. Imagine yourself immersed in an epic role-playing game. Every morning you wake up to a new level. Sometimes you're the hero, other times just a quiet bystander moving through a crowded street. There are days when victory lifts your spirits, and there are also moments of defeat so crushing that you just want to give up, like being kicked out of the game while the match is still unfinished. But perhaps the strangest thing is how often we get so caught up in these roles, taking each situation so seriously that we forget. This is all just a game, and in truth, we are the player, not any fixed character. Have you ever noticed how tightly you cling to those roles? One moment you're a parent, another you're an employee, and sometimes you feel like you have to be strong no matter what, never showing any weakness. We play different parts all day, all our lives, and often believe we actually are those roles. So when we lose, experience setbacks, rejection, or failure, it feels like we ourselves have been completely defeated. But if you look closer, isn't it just the role that's hurting, while the player inside the quiet observer within you remains whole and calm? Remember, life is not a heavy sentence or a fixed identity. It's a series of experiences where you're both the actor and the audience. The philosopher Epictetus once wrote, "Remember that you are an actor in a drama of such a kind as the author pleases to make it." When you realize you're only a temporary player, you'll feel lighter in the face of any challenge. At that point, winning and losing, success and failure, gains and losses are just small parts of the journey, not the entirety of who you are. The solution lies in learning to observe yourself, pausing for a moment before reacting, asking yourself, what role am I playing? Where are these emotions coming from? You'll find this awareness is the first life hack for the game of living. Instead of resisting or getting entangled, take half a step back, observe the role, and recognize yourself as the player, not a fixed character. Then you'll be free to move forward, change roles, adapt, and find peace amid all the games that life throws your way. 2. There is no final destination. You know, maybe from childhood until now, we've all had a certain image of a finish line drilled into our heads. graduate from university, get married, have children, get promoted, buy a house, and then keep racing toward new finish lines. As if life is just a list of tasks you have to complete, a report card you have to keep filling out perfectly, fully, and fast enough to keep up with everyone else. But when you actually pause, maybe late at night after a long, exhausting day, or when you're facing failure, heartbreak, or even in moments of so-called great achievement, have you ever felt empty, lost, and wondered, after all this, where am I really heading? The answer is surprisingly simple. There is no final finish line. There is no ultimate victory, no stopping point, and no one's going to come up to you, pat you on the back and say, "Congratulations, you've completed life." This game goes on, and its entire meaning lies in how you live and feel each moment, in every setback, every time you try again, every small joy, and even in the lingering pain. As the philosopher Alan Watts, sometimes called the philosophy artist, once said, "The meaning of life is just to be alive." It is so plain and so obvious and so simple. The real value isn't at some finish line we never actually reach, but in every step we take along the way. Stoic philosophy reminds us that the present is the only thing truly worth living and cherishing. Not tomorrow, not the glories of the past. We waste so much time tormenting ourselves over what's already happened or worrying about what's yet to come, only to miss the one moment we actually have, this moment. The solution isn't to stop striving, but to shift your attention from the outcome to the process. Ask yourself, right now, what am I actually feeling? What is there to be grateful for, to experience, whether it's just a morning coffee, a sudden smile, or even disappointment and anxiety? That's the real game, and it's the deepest awakening Stoicism wants to give you. Live as if each moment is your only goal, because there is no finish line. No one finishes first, and this game, your life, is still going on right now. 3. Pain is part of it, but not all of it. When you were a child, you probably played a game where every fall, every scrape was simply part of the fun. Sometimes you even counted how many times you got to fall down. But as you grew older, the game got more serious, and each pain seemed to carry more weight, quietly adding up on the scoreboard of your mood. Have you ever wondered if that pain is truly an enemy, or just a natural rule of the game, a level that everyone must pass through? But how you face it is what really matters. You might find yourself struggling on the playground of life, rating your pain points from 1 to 10 after every setback, losing a job, heartbreak, or disappointment in yourself. Pain is inevitable. But suffering, the sense of unfairness, regret, self-blame, is the story we, the players, add to the script ourselves. Pain says this hurts. Suffering says this shouldn't be happening. Pain reminds you that you're alive, that you can feel. Suffering appears when you think things should have been different, when you resist reality. Painful emotions are signals, not your true nature. You have the right to feel hurt, but you don't have to identify with that pain. Just like in a game, you are not the wound on your character. You are the one holding the controller, the one choosing how to react. When you accept that pain is part of the game, you open yourself to real freedom, the power to choose your response instead of being swept away by emotion. Try pausing for a moment. Notice your feelings. Watch them pass by like a new level in a game, not the end of everything. Every pain, every failure is a message for you to understand yourself better, to grow stronger. That's why Stoic philosophers practiced accepting their emotions, stepping away from the victim's script to become the active player who keeps going. Have you ever wondered if you could be gentler with yourself, if you could turn each stumble into an opportunity, how different might life feel? Let's explore how to play with lightness and flexibility in the next section, where every rule can be rewritten and you have the power to decide how you'll keep playing this game. 4. Play with lightness and flexibility. Have you ever noticed that in video games, sometimes the real key to overcoming a tough level is your ability to reset, change strategies, or switch to a new character? Yet in real life, we so often lock ourselves into an old image. The serious one, the strong one, the person who always has to be in control. We forget that, just like in any game, true strength lies in being flexible. Some days you're the unbreakable warrior, but other days you need to become the quiet observer or simply a regular companion. Who says you can't switch roles? Who says you have to be the same you as yesterday, last year, or the outdated expectations that, honestly, might not even fit you anymore? You are under no obligation to be the same person you were 5 minutes ago. That's right. Life never demands you stay stuck with one identity, one personality, or one old story. That's just one level you've cleared, not the whole game. We often fear being labeled fake or inconsistent when we change perspectives or try a different way of responding to something. We worry about being called fake or inconsistent whenever we attempt to change our thinking or the way we live. But take a look at Robert Downey Jr., a living example of the power of adaptation. From a young star who shot to fame, then spiraled into scandal, Downey wasn't afraid to reset himself. He went through rehab, faced Hollywood's rejection, but courageously stepped into a new role, not just as Iron Man, but as a symbol of rebirth and transformation. He accepted challenges, owned his mistakes, started over from scratch, and wasn't afraid to rebuild his life, no matter the skeptical looks from others. Or look back thousands of years to Epictetus, who went from slave to wise teacher. Downey understood this. If you cling to an old version of yourself, you'll always be stuck in your own game. But if you dare to switch roles, to try a new response, you'll finally be playing life to the fullest, and you'll open doors you never knew existed. If today you find yourself exhausted, lost, or confused, don't rush to blame yourself. Don't force yourself to keep playing a role you're already tired of. Try playing differently for once. Listen to new feelings, experiment with different reactions, or simply let yourself quietly observe everything from the outside. That's not weakness. It's the courage to live honestly in the present, instead of getting trapped by your past shadow. Life, just like every game, always asks you to experiment, learn, and change. Stay flexible. Play lightly with yourself. Who knows, maybe right at that moment, you'll unlock a new level, a freer and wiser version of who you are. 5. Everyone is a part of you. Have you ever noticed that in every game you play, it's your opponent who pushes you to improve? On this chessboard called life, everyone we meet seems to be taking on a different role, and often it's hard to see that truth clearly. Sometimes we get tense, react, or even feel annoyed with others, treating them as obstacles or rivals to defeat. But then, in those rare quiet moments when all the noise fades away, ask yourself, what if they're just another player, struggling with their own rules, tasks, and worries, just like I am? In this game, no one is truly separate. The person across from you might be wearing a different mask, a tough boss, a silent father, a competitive friend, or even a stranger who accidentally bumped into you on the street. But behind each of those faces, isn't there the same human core? Someone who feels anxious, can be hurt, and longs to be seen, loved, and happy. As the saying goes, every person you meet is you, wearing a different mask. If life really is one big game, then the people around you are just characters sharing the same stage. They react, they make mistakes. Sometimes they hurt you. But in the end, no one is the final boss of resentment, and nobody truly wins if you're always keeping score. The truth is, this game only becomes easier to play when you learn to see others as a part of yourself. This isn't some distant moral theory. It's a practical strategy for living lighter and more at peace each day. You can try something simple. When someone annoys you, instead of reacting instantly, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what if I were in their shoes? If this is just a game where everyone's learning to get past their own obstacles, could I open my heart a little more? Tolerance and compassion begin with this realization. You stop seeing others as obstacles and start seeing them as teammates on the journey. That's when you truly hack your own game of life by treating others as yourself, adding a bit more kindness to this world, and letting go of some of the defensiveness and resentment. Have you ever had a moment when you realized the person in front of you was just another you in a new outfit? Share your story in the comments below, because your awakening might just be the key that helps someone else walk their path a little lighter. 6. Don't control everything. Accept surprises. Imagine yourself sitting in front of the screen, playing a game of Texas Hold'em poker with your friends on a weekend night. You've mastered all the strategies, analyzed the odds of every move, and you're holding a hand so strong that you're confident you'll win. Then, suddenly, the next card is flipped over on the table, and in an instant, all your careful planning is thrown into chaos. Everyone has experienced this moment, not just in games, but in real life. When you think everything is under control, the unexpected happens, leaving you confused, maybe even lost. But stop and think for a moment what it is that makes games like poker, basketball, or even video games so compelling to millions of people every day. It's the surprises you can't predict. The surprises, the plot twists, the unexpected turns. These are what make life an adventure. If everything always went our way, if we always knew the outcome in advance, the game would lose its excitement. Life is the same way. It's the uncertainty, the shake-ups, those moments that knock us off balance, that keep us awake, learning, and constantly growing. So why do we keep trying to control every corner of our lives? Why do we feel the need to plan every detail, only to despair when things don't go as we hoped? Modern psychology, such as the 2014 study by Tali Sharot at University College London, shows that people tend to overestimate their control over the world around them, and this illusion only increases stress, anxiety, and even exhaustion. When you believe you must control everything, even the smallest surprise starts to feel like an enemy. Stoic philosophy offers us a different approach. Take initiative with what you can influence, but welcome the unexpected with calm and wisdom. You can control your actions, your attitude, your effort, but you cannot control the final outcome or the moves your opponent makes. When you learn to let go of what's beyond your reach, you realize that's when the real game begins. Peace and freedom don't come from trying to lock everything down, but from knowing when to let go and embracing the unexpected gifts that life brings. Maybe what you need isn't a flawless strategy for control, but an open mindset, so that whatever card is turned over can become the starting point for a new journey, one that's more interesting, more mature, and truly free. 7. There is no failure, only experience. You know, life is like a strange video game we've never really seen the manual for. Everyone wants to reach the next level. Everyone dreads the scratches on their achievement board. But if you pause and take a closer look, you'll realize every failure is actually just another attempt botched moves, unexpected collisions on this grand playing field, vivid data fed back to our brains, telling us that move didn't work. Try again a different way. Failure isn't a permanent label stamped onto your identity, and it's definitely not proof of inadequacy. It's simply a report, a feedback note sent straight from the game of life itself. Think of Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time. He once said, "I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." Or go back further to Marcus Aurelius, who reminds us, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In every level of life, the only thing that truly holds you back isn't the times you lose, but when you cast yourself as the loser, when you close the door on your own progress. The real danger isn't making mistakes. It's believing only perfect people deserve to move forward. Ask yourself, how many times have you hesitated to try just because you were afraid of being laughed at, afraid to blemish your track record? You weren't born to be a perfect player, but to learn, experience, and grow with every right and wrong move. Every failure is a patch that helps you understand the game more deeply. The only mistake you should avoid is repeating the same one just because you refuse to reflect, refuse to learn. The solution is simple. Allow yourself to be wrong. See every failure as an invitation to try again, as new data to level up your own life game skills. Don't let one misstep become a life sentence. Keep the calm perspective of an observer so the game doesn't dictate your mood. That's the real art of mastering life's game. Daring to keep moving forward, daring to embrace the data, and never playing the victim in your own story. 8. Be flexible in your roles, adapt to circumstances. There is no such thing as failure-only experience. That's the unspoken rule of every real game. But if you go one step further, you'll realize it's your ability to adapt and stay flexible in each role you play that will take you further than any scoreboard of achievements ever could. Have you ever wondered, why do we force ourselves into a single role only to feel lost and unsettled when circumstances change? Life, much like a grand game, constantly challenges us to pivot, to test our ability to switch roles from being a child, a parent, a colleague, to the very guide of our own lives. Some days, you are the steady leader. Other days, you just want to be silent, to step back, or simply to be a learner. Society, expectations, and sometimes your own ego, can make things feel more complicated than they are. It's easy to cling to a single image. I must always be strong. I can't afford to be weak. I'm the pillar. I can't make mistakes. In truth, that's just one of countless roles you can explore. If you see life as a game, each stage, each relationship is a new level, demanding you to move, adapt, sometimes even change costumes, so you don't miss out on lessons meant just for you. The skillful player can move fluidly between these roles without losing their center. The best player is the one who can change and adapt, yet remain true to their core. Marcus Aurelius once reminded us, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee." It's a call to remember that shifting roles and circumstances doesn't mean losing yourself. Instead, it's training you to become vibrant and flexible, like water flowing with the river of life, yet always holding onto your essence deep within. If you ever feel uncertain when your role changes, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what truly is my essence? Can I bring that into every role I play, whether as a leader, a friend, a parent, or simply someone striving each day? When you know who you are, every situation becomes just another opportunity to reveal different sides of yourself. No more fear of losing your value, no more forcing yourself into a rigid mold. Embrace flexibility. Don't be afraid to switch roles when the game of life invites you to a new board. That doesn't make you weaker. In fact, it's a sign of real growth. Life is always changing. The true player is the one who keeps their unique spirit, who dares to live fully in every role fate assigns. That's how you hack the game, one day at a time. 9. Rules are not fixed. You are a co-creator. There are moments when life feels like a strange game, with rules that never quite show up on the screen. You grow up following a set of seemingly solid rules. You must succeed, you must be strong, you must stay in control. Then one day you realize those rules of the game are really just blurry lines, easily changed, maybe even drawn by yourself in your own mind. Yet for so long, you've let others, circumstances, or your own fears dictate the way you play. You didn't choose the chessboard, didn't pick your pieces, didn't make your own moves. You just kept repeating a script programmed by others, by society, by invisible expectations. But if you pause for a moment, sit quietly and observe, you'll notice something. Every choice, every attitude you bring to the game board can transform your entire experience. Life is, in truth, an open playing field. You're not just a passive participant, you're a co-creator. Those harsh limits and rigid rules often turn out to be just habits, just fears, just patterns you've never really questioned. Have you ever felt stuck in old roles, bound by unbreakable rules? How many times have you thought, I have to be this way, I can't change, and ended up locking yourself in a cycle of pressure and disappointment? In reality, everyone has the power to rewrite their own rules. You can choose to see failure as a lesson, not a punishment. You can learn to ask yourself, what would happen if I tried a different approach? If I let go of the need to control everything, could I be freer? Old rules can be changed the moment you're willing to release your fears and your defenses. Stoic philosophy doesn't teach you to break every rule just to satisfy your ego. Stoicism shows you this. Your attitude and your choices rewrite how this game works, both in your mind and in your life. When you consciously choose your response, when you choose peace over an impulsive reaction, When you choose to take action rather than waiting, you are rewriting the rules. At that moment, life's chaos loses its absolute power. You become a co-creator, no longer a victim. Ask yourself, what rules are you imposing on your own life? Do you still want to keep them? Or is it time to adjust, renew, or even invent a way of playing that's truly your own? Every day, give yourself permission to rewrite something small, a new attitude, a more generous outlook, or a courageous choice. These new rules, simple as they may be, are the beginning of the freedom and peace you've always been seeking in this game called life. 10. Your success does not take away the success of others. Your success does not take away anyone else's opportunity. In this strange game called life, each person is a player with their own journey, starting point and strategy. Too often, we get swept up in the illusion of a shared scoreboard, the idea that when someone moves ahead, we fall behind, that success is a limited pie, and every slice someone else takes leaves us with less. But view life as a game with no single absolute winner. You'll see that every step forward, every time you play fair, not only enriches your own experience, but also unlocks inspiration, courage, and motivation for those around you. Think about it. Isn't it true that when you see someone excel, succeed, or break free, what stirs inside you isn't always envy? It can be a spark of hope, a push for you to change as well. And when you live authentically, dare to accept failure, and keep playing, you show everyone around you that moving forward is a real option, not just a theory. Each player belongs to a team larger than themselves, and true victory is when you not only reach your own potential, but also inspire and pave the way for others to grow. Maybe you've been afraid of being left behind, afraid that others' success somehow measures your own failure. That's a common mental trap, especially in a world where every achievement is displayed and compared like leaderboards on a screen. But the truth is, this game isn't just a single round of chess. When you focus on playing well, building your skills, and supporting others, your own game becomes richer and deeper. There's a transformation that happens when you realize that success isn't some rare prize reserved for a select few. Every time you have the courage to be real, to adapt, to humbly accept both glory and mistakes, you help raise the overall level of experience for everyone on this map. Just like in a co-op game, the better you play, the stronger the whole team becomes, and the more joy is shared. And if someone in your life is winning, see it as an invitation. You too can give it a try. You too can upgrade yourself, because the more skillfully you play, the more you help everyone else play skillfully too. Life isn't a scramble for scarce rewards. It's a place where each person can send out a wave of inspiration, open new paths for others if you dare to live wholeheartedly. And then, at some point, you'll realize, even as this game changes form, even as each person eventually switches roles, the cycle of inspiration, commitment, and growth never truly ends. There's a secret to the game of life you'll want to discover in the next chapter, when death isn't the finish line, but simply another role change so the game can go on in a new way. 11. Death is just a change of role. The game does not end. In the grand game called life, everyone eventually reaches a transition we call the end. We grow up, we change roles, we transform from a curious child to a worried adult, to a father, a mother, a friend, And sometimes we become just a memory in someone else's mind. If life is a game, then what we call death is simply the moment when a player steps off this stage to take on a new role in another space. Your consciousness, your true essence, does not vanish. It simply moves from one scene to another, from one garment to the next, like the unending flow of a jazz melody. When one tune closes, a new one begins. Perhaps humanity's greatest fear is not death itself, but the sudden ending of all that is familiar. We fear leaving behind the roles we've embodied for so long: the strong father, the devoted wife, the reliable friend. We resist change. We hesitate to let go of what no longer belongs to us. But if life is a game, then every death, every loss, every ending is really just you switching roles, changing costumes, getting ready for another performance. Embracing impermanence is the most important lesson in this game. When you realize that everything will change: relationships, careers, youth, even your very self, you stop desperately clinging to old roles. You start to live fully in each moment, cherishing even the smallest things, knowing that every chapter will eventually shift into a new act. That's when you dare to let go of what no longer serves you and welcome the new with freedom and without fear. You may have witnessed someone leaving the stage, a loved one passing away, a friendship ending, or a phase of life coming to a close. The sorrow is real, but if you look deeper, you'll see the game never truly ends. What was once part of you continues on in another form, in memory, in your growth, in the actions you take today. So don't fear the ending, don't cling to old roles. Be brave enough to change, to accept, and to love the impermanence of it all. Play wholeheartedly, and when the time comes, step confidently into your new role. Because in this game, there is no stopping point, and perhaps in the very moment you're ready to switch roles, you'll realize your consciousness keeps on playing peaceful, free, and with nothing left to regret. Finally, remember this: life is a grand game, and you are both the player and the very game itself. Every stumble, heartbreak, victory, or loss is simply another round, another challenge that everyone must face on the journey to maturity. But you don't need to force yourself to be perfect. Don't take everything so seriously, and don't dwell on failures for too long. Learn to play skillfully. Treat yourself with kindness. Allow yourself to be flexible, and let go of pressure so you can experience real joy, peace, and true freedom. So, what role do you want to play most in this game? What is your hack to make each day more meaningful, to ease pressure and anxiety? Have you ever applied Stoic philosophy to any situation in your life? Don't hesitate to share your story, your perspective, or the things that weigh on your mind, because you could be the inspiration someone else needs. If you found this post helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and look forward to more videos about conquering life through Stoic philosophy. Don't miss out, because the game is always ongoing, and every day brings you another chance to master yourself.